think the way that the soil health agenda under CAADP and the action plan, it brings together a lot of the various elements of soil and soil health, not only the chemical properties and the classical, but when you talk about soil health, it's much more other elements to this. And it also links not only to soil nutrition and how you get soil into the nutrition into the plants, but it's also the whole soil structure, which links us to the climate agenda. And of course, soils have to be ready to take more precipitation or less. And that goes not so much into the chemical properties, but it's the soil structure. We know soils are hammered. There are plow pans. You see, plants go like this, and they meet the plow pan, and it goes like this. This is your first line of defense against climate change. And we are not really ready for this, because it also means changing the way you do farming, your farming practices. So South Africa is one of the lead countries when it comes to minimum tillage systems, for example, but in other countries in Africa, we don't see it moving at all. So this is a very complex agenda that needs multiple disciplines coming together, and this is what we see is happening under ADFNS AU Soil Initiative. So I'm not going to go more into this. You know this much better than I do. And for us from Norway, for this specific event, we look forward to hearing about the progress in the Soil Health Task Force recent work, particularly on the outcome of the workshop held earlier this week. And we look forward to learning how the task force is aligning soil health monitoring frameworks across initiatives, regions, and countries. And we also look forward to hearing more about national, regional engagement, actually where policy meets practice. Together, through partnerships and shared commitment, we can ensure that soils remains fertile, resilient, and productive for generations to come. I thank you. And I really look forward to this session to see how much you have progressed in this. Being a geographer, I have a certain interest in soils myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this opening. So it's all about... It's now? Okay. It's all about feeding the soil and how to match policy and practices. And now I would like to invite Portia Follow to give us an update about what is happening in the Continental Task Force for Soil Health. Portia Follow is a sustainable agriculture researcher at Trace and Safe, a company to track, trace and measure the environmental impact of agriculture, and she's the co-chair of the Soil Health Task Force. So Portia, welcome, and we are very keen to hear from you what is this task force about, what have you achieved so far, and our particular interest is how is the task force contributing to the alignment of soil health monitoring frameworks across the different initiatives. Thank you. The stage is yours.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I feel very privileged being part of this task force that is really going to change the game for Africa. Yeah, the only way we can really combat the poverty that is facing our continent is through agriculture, and soil health is important for that. So I am the co-lead for the Soil Health Working Group. It's my pleasure to give a short update on behalf of the Soil Health Monitoring Task Force. Our team is working to integrate soil health monitoring into CAADP implementation under the new Kampala Declaration. So just to provide some context and purpose on why the task force was established, we know that Africa's agriculture depends on healthy soils, yet around 65% of our arable land is degraded. And it's costing us billions every year. The Nairobi Fertilizer and Soil Health Declaration and the 10-year AFSH action plan give us a mandate to act decisively to translate these commitments into measurable progress. The Soil Health Monitoring Task Force was established by NORAD and the AUC. Our goal is to build a continent-wide systematic monitoring system that allows each country to track soil health as part of the CAADP biannual review, putting soils at the center of evidence-based decision-making. In essence, we are developing the evidence base that will allow African countries to track soil health improvements the same way we already track yields, budgets, and nutrition. So in terms of the mandate, the task force brings together scientists, policymakers, and technical partners from across the continent and regions and different disciples. It operates under 5 main actions. The first action is to develop a clear and scientifically grounded definition of soil health. Second action, to develop a practical soil health monitoring and evaluation and reporting system for evaluating soil health status across different contexts. The third action is to develop measurable indicators for soil health and use these to compute a soil health index. The fourth action, to support the process of integrating the soil health indicators and the soil health index into the CAADP biannual reporting system. And then lastly, we are going to provide ongoing training and support to AUDA and AUC, RECs, and member states to strengthen the understanding of soil health monitoring, improve the collection and reporting of relevant data. This approach ensures that what we measure can inform what we manage. So we met earlier in the week to discuss and make headway with regards to the tasks that we've been given. And I'm going to provide a bit of feedback on what we have been able to accomplish so far, although there's still quite a lot of work ahead for us. We have agreed on a working definition of soil health that truly reflects
advance the technologies right from the field to the lab to the data analytics. In total, we generate close to 960 soil samples per site. What that means is that we need very robust lab analytics, because if you rely on traditional wet chemistry methods to analyze all these soils in a wet chem lab, it will probably take you a lot of time. So we use infrared spectroscopy and X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to mine information that are related to soil chemical, physical, and as well biological properties of soils. So with this, we lower the cost of analysis by around 80%. So it would cost you a standard suite of soil test parameters on functional properties. It would cost you like $100, and spectroscopy you would pay $10. So we can see how we are scaling the cost down in a way that it would probably and possibly be manageable for small-scale holder farmers. And then what we do after that is we mine all this information through a very robust laboratory information management system. We pull it down and develop maps based on soil functional properties. And all this data is archived in one portal, one system. So over time, what we've been doing is we've built very robust, huge spectral library that can be used globally and be used to predict soil functional properties without necessarily taking the reference subset of samples through wet chemistry. So that lowers the cost of analysis considerably. So we've also engaged in capacity building, supporting National Agricultural Research Institute, governments, develop and set up some of these labs. With all these systems, we develop dashboard and soil information systems out of the data sets that we get. So we are helping generate data in a much more faster, quicker way. I remember a while back when I was out on field sampling, I met farmers and they were really complaining somewhere in Kenya that they hadn't gotten results, and it had taken 5 years before they got feedback from a lab, a government lab. And we were wondering what had actually happened and what they missed out. In actual sense, there are challenges with wet chemistry that we are also trying to fix. And by these techniques, we will be able to generate data, be able to do soil monitoring in a much more quicker, much more robust way. So we've also been engaging on various platforms under Coalition for Soil Health and trying to rally people and push up the soil agenda across the globe, and as well help create a platform where people can share knowledge, influence policies, recommendations, agronomic recommendations, share the knowledge that they have, and build capacity. So over time, we've engaged in various projects like AFSIS, Africa Soil Information Service, helped in Ethiosis, helped in development of Nigeria, NICIS, and worked under Soils for Africa project, where we technically supported the project, ROASIS for this particular case, and right now we are working with the Islamic Development Bank on mapping soil fertility in West Africa, 6 countries. So this is something we've done and we are willing to do, and for us, we come to us, it's a one-stop shop. You'll get everything as a package. And yep, thank you.
Thank you, Elvis. So I think we know now the technical side, how to get the soil data in an affordable manner at Teklu. So how can we now make sure that these data is really used for decision making and land management? And you working in Ethiopia, you are familiar with the soil information system in Ethiopia. So how is it in Ethiopia contributing to more informed decision making? And what are your recommendations to other countries in setting up such soil information systems?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, decisions in agriculture at large, and particularly in soil health management, should be based in evidences. And those evidences should be targeted and site-specific. And if possible, as we discussed earlier, maybe in the morning, that should be also targeted to the land managers, to their specific situation. And that requires basically the data. You cannot generate evidences without having data. In Ethiopia, what we have done through the project I am managing, the Supporting Soil Health project co-funded by the Gates Foundation and the BMZ, we have mobilized legacy data first. Because instead of, I'm sure many of African countries are rich, not only in natural resources, but in data, but just as other resources, we are not very sure where the data are. So what we first did was to mobilize the data holders in the form of the Coalition of the Willing to share data, and they managed to put thousands of data points together, and the incentive for that is to do advanced data analysis together and develop products, including publications and advisories. And so with this process, we have developed 2 data sets, basically data portals, one for the soil survey, and from where we have produced soil map, a digital soil map for the country for the first time. And second, we have also developed site-specific fertilizer and soil health decision support, which is, of course, not only digital, it's very much interactive, specific to the needs of the land user. So what can other countries learn from such exercises? I think one of the first things I think is, of course, sampling and doing analysis is very good to get up-to-date information. But I think the first thing is to get the legacy data into our custody. And the way to do that is a partnership. And that partnership should be a will-based, in which each individual or organization that are involved in this have a stake, that they have a goal to achieve through this partnership. In our case, we started with individuals who want to publish, who want to learn also the advanced data analysis and modeling, but later on, that evolved also to the institutional partnership. And now, in addition to this coalition of the willing, we have data partnership for agriculture-wide. The earlier one was on soil and agronomy, but institutes have also learned to develop data partnership, where each organization having data related to agriculture, including the economic, the statistics, the water, the land, and so on. I think about 9 institutes have signed a memorandum of understanding to this data partnership. And so willingness and partnership are the key, but first focus on legacy data and create interest by providing incentives to the data owners, and that incentive should come in the form of aligned goals and objectives when it comes to organizations or individuals, including capacity building, and also the possibility of getting their data out of the custody. And I mean, some of the data that we have used to this modeling have been really thrown away. People do not, I mean, the fair data principle was not known 7 years ago when we have started, but now it has become lesson. So we are now working with many other partners outside Ethiopia also. I was talking this morning with other people that we are working also with Nigerian soil health team. They also have created their own version of the coalition of the willing. And now they are trying to mobilize the legacy data and blend that together with the freshly developed data in terms of NISIS, Nigerian Soil Information Systems. And also, in our case, also we have integrated that with the Ethiopian Soil Information Systems. And currently we are also working to develop a soil health dashboard, which will be used as a planning tool for the implementation, monitoring of the implementation of the roadmap. Ethiopia has already developed a roadmap for domestication of the African fertilizer and soil health. And when that is implemented, what would be the outcome? How is it going to influence the soil health as well as the productivity? And so we have a tool, we call it a dashboard. It's not finalized yet, but the idea is to use that tool for planning, scenario analysis, and monitoring. Thank you.
Yes, you can clap. Thank you. Thank you, Teklu, for the insights from Ethiopians' lessons learned. Alice, I would like to come to you. So we heard a lot about data collection, monitoring systems as vehicle also for track the implementation of the Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. So Alice, you are coordinating the working group for the development of the Fertilizer Soil Health Action Plan in Kenya.
Developed, we have not finalized, but we are in the final stages of developing our fertilizer and soil health action plan with the template from the AU. We have had several meetings, several workshops, several convenings, and we involved all the stakeholders. So generally we have moved from draft 0. We are in the final draft. So we are developing our action plan to start in 2026 to 2035. in accordance with the Soil Health and Fertilizer Summit that happened in Nairobi 2024. Also, we are anchoring our action plan in line with the government policies that are in place. And speaking of soil, we have an agriculture soil management policy 2024 that was launched to take care of the agricultural soil. In respective of fertilizer, there are many stakeholders. So the first convening, we had a meeting with the stakeholders, the fertilizer manufacturers, both organics and inorganics. We had the farmer organizations, the farmer representatives, the advocacy groups, the researchers, the academia, and generally the other government officials that are involved in the matters of soil health and agri-systems. And we agreed on the roadmap, and currently we are revising the final draft, which we are preparing to take now to the National Stakeholder Forum. And in Kenya, before anything is passed, it has to go through what we call public participation. So once it is agreed at the National Stakeholder Forum, where we invite all governments, the county government, the national government, the other stakeholders, the financiers, the development partners, to go through the document. Then we'll take it for public participation before it is taken to the cabinet for further approvals. So that one is in the pipeline. So far we have reached the final draft, and we have an indicative budget, because before an action plan is approved, it must indicate approximately how much it will cost to implement that action plan. And we are talking about, well, 10-year plan in the tune of about $2.9 billion US, in and about, thereabout, and all the outcomes have been taken care of. And what came out when we were discussing this action plan and putting the activities, the specific activities, it came to our mind that agriculture depends on soil. So we must take care of the soil, and we are having a lot of inputs from other partners in the agroecology space and academia to make our action plan implementable. We have had a lot of support from our partners. GIZ, AGRA has supported us, International Fertilizer and Development Center, Soil Science Society of East Africa. These are some of the partners that have helped us in the journey. And our action plan is divided into 3 phases. We have the first phase, 2026 and 2027. That is a program initiation, institutional setup, and capacity building. We expect to have even the ministries of education as part of that action plan, because we want to have these matters of soil health to be taught, to be included in the curricula of various institutions. Then phase 2 is 2028 to 2030. This is the full-scale implementation of the strategic interventions, and by that time we expect to have more investment in terms of the actual implementation of the action plan. Then phase 3 is 2031 to 2035. That is upscaling of the successful initiatives and integration of sustainable measures as we move along. Moving forward, we expect that the Kenya Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan, it will present a comprehensive roadmap for advancing sustainable, inclusive, and resilient food system, and it will outline strategic interventions necessary to restore and protect soil health while enhancing agricultural productivity and supporting economic growth, successful livelihoods. Challenges. Of course, there's no journey without challenges, and what is remaining for us maybe a small challenge. We have some logistical challenges to facilitate some of the convenings, and we hope that our partners who have been with us can continue to support us. The other challenge is sometimes when you are seeking the approvals or the buy-in from the political environment, it may take longer than planned. But we pray that we'll be able to do within the time we have said by January 2026. So the other small challenge we have seen along the way as we have been doing this work is when the office personnel change, and sometimes you have to keep capacity building or keep sensitizing the new ones, and that we have seen it drags on some of the activities. Then commitment, sometimes other commitments take place and they interfere with the planned roadmap as per se. Alignment with CAADP implementation moving forward, we are expecting that once the action plan is complete and approvals are done, it will be used as a tool to forward projects and implementation activities to the relevant offices, development partners, and also that every partner or every player will be able to implement specific actions and the implementation of the plans geared towards the Kampala Declaration of those activities. We expect that once we complete this action plan, we'll have the specific tools to do fundraising for the various activities or various strategies as envisaged in the action plan. We are working together with government institutions, research, academia, development partners, private sector, the farmer organizations, the farming communities, and other advocacy to make sure that everyone is included in the decision making. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice, also for honestly sharing the challenges that you face also in Kenya. I would like to move to you, Blessing. And also you are a member of the Soil Health Action Group in Nigeria. So actually I would like to ask you the same questions. Could you share where Nigeria currently stands in terms of development of the Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan, milestones, challenges, and how the process is being aligned with CAADP implementation? So over to you.
Yeah, thank you. The first two panelists has made my job easier. And because of that, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. They've already highlighted how they are working with Nigeria in this journey, and also the processes they've also supported and partnered with Nigeria on it. Just to say that Nigeria has made significant progress in domesticating and implementing the Nairobi Declaration. And it's not just, it's a process that is being driven by the Ministers for Agriculture and also the presidency. So it shows how committed Nigeria is in the soil health process. And another interesting thing is that the process is not just government driven. There's a lot of consultations, there are a lot of carrying stakeholders along in the process, because most times you develop systems, informations, data, and they are seated there. But if the citizens, the users, are not carried along in the early design stages, you discover that implementations becomes a struggle. So that's one of the strong and progress Nigeria has made with regards to these health consultations, carrying all stakeholders along, even including the small, older farmers and all key players within the agri sector. And on October 14th, Nigeria launched its Nigerian Farmer Soil Health Scheme. and the launch was robust, and it was done in the presidential villa, which also shows the presidential commitment to the process. And what the soil health scheme is going to help us do is to set up laboratory tests across the 774 local governments in Nigeria. And because that's currently a challenge, you say farmers produce, they don't know the right fertilizer to use, they don't know the capacity of the soil, what it can produce and what cannot be produced, and the right fertilizer usage. For instance, in Nigeria, you have different zones where you have different crops growing in different areas. So most times farmers think that this crop would only grow in these particular zones, but because they lack this soil health testing to know that this crop that would grow in this zone can also grow in this other zone, you see that they are limited in their food production. So that's one thing the soil health scheme that's been launched would help us to do to better improve food production in Nigeria. They also mentioned the information system that they've supported us to develop, and a lot of progress has been made regarding that aspect. Another critical thing is the farmer soil health card that has also been developed. Like I said, it's not just about the soil health system developing, but the key producers of the food, you have to bring them into the picture, plan for them, build their capacity, and all of that. And beyond what Nigerian government has done, civil society organizations like ActionAid, where I work, also recognizing the importance of soil health, and along with other organizations, what we try to do with the face of climate change, we know that's also contributing to the land degradation. So how do we begin to strengthen the capacity of the farmers, smallholder farmers, on agroecological practices, and other organizations also looking at regenerative agriculture for them to still be able to produce food sustainably using organic fertilizers, manures, and even some basic practices that helps to nourish the soil and retain the health of the soil, like simple practice of cover cropping, mixed cropping, and all. So those agroecological practices has helped bridge the gap at the moment on how farmers can help nourish their soils to also produce food. And ActionAid alone has, within the past 2 years, has trained over 120,000 smallholder farmers across 5 states in Nigeria. And we have seen the progress they've made. For them, most of them are not even no longer depending on the chemical fertilizer, because the cost of fertilizer in the first place is huge. So if you can get, for instance, a bag of poultry dung for like 2,000 naira to apply on your soil, and you get a very good yield, then you are spending about 46,000 naira to buy a bag of fertilizer. So you see the difference. So this has helped. I'm also trying to align it with the CAADP. This has helped to improve food production, because the funds they would have used to buy fertilizer, they are using it to expand their farm. They are producing more, getting better output, and also helping to manage the soil. So, and that's aligning with the CAADP Strategic Objective 1, which helps to boost food production in Africa and also in Nigeria. So that aligns. So for the soil health scheme, progress is being made, like I said, and what that lab would also help us to do is to also teach farmers on fertilizer application. Because also the use of fertilizer, if you don't know the right fertilizer to apply, it ends up killing your soil and even affecting your crop production. And also aligning it to the CAADP with the actions that have been taken so far. Investments, that's under the strategic objective 3 of the CAADP. It's going to help attract investment, the soil health scheme that's been developed and the processes. So I still say Nigeria is vast with over 2 million people, with 36 states and the FCT, 774 local government. You see that the work is huge. So capital, so it will require both public sector investment and private sector investments. So that will help to if implementation start. And of course, with the launch of the scheme, we've seen a lot of private sector's interest in coming on board to make sure the systems works for Nigeria. So, and of course, building resilience and to shocks, which is the CAADP strategy 5 objectives. Resilience. So if over reliance on chemical fertilizer helps introduce nitrogen to the environment, which further increases green gas emission. So by the time you reduce the use of chemical and go things towards organic fertilizer, using manures, it will help that, and also helping to build the resilience of the farmers through those agroecological and resilience practices that is about. So for the milestones, like I said, we've launched the soil health, and of course domesticating the Nairobi Declaration. And with the plan to set up the laboratories, training has already been done for laboratory technicians and technologists on the use of soil health card models. So these trainings have been done, so it shows a significant progress that we've made, in addition to what other panelists have spoken. And of course, challenges, of course, funding. Like I said, Nigeria is huge. With the population of farmers, and it requires a lot of funding, and so the funding gap is there. And for the information, yes, soil health testing and all, you also need extension agents. You can't rule them out. They are key in helping to disseminate information to the farmers, in helping to sensitize them on behavioral change, data management, soil management, and all that. And there is currently a huge extension gap, which the soil health scheme is also trying to address, to see how we get more extension workers on board to support the process.
Okay.
And okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you also for putting emphasis on the capacity development and smallholder farmers. I think that's important that we keep that an eye on, that it's really about the soil health that are benefiting the production at farmer level. So Manyewun, over to you. So you work for ADFNS and you listen to the experience from Nigeria, Kenya, and Ethiopia. So my question to you would be, what are ADFNS' engagement plans with the countries and those regional organizations to support the implementation of the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan as part of CAADP? So we are moving to the continental level again. Yes, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's encouraging to see the way countries are already moving with some speed. And I should say, since the Nairobi Declaration, we have also been also in that preparatory phase to look at how best to support member countries in terms of domestication of the Nairobi Declaration. And there's been a few things that have happened since Nairobi. You saw earlier there were discussions as well with respect to some of the things that have been happening. For example, we've been really trying to set up a coordinated approach to supporting member states. We have multiple stakeholders supporting this effort, which is great, but we wanted to ensure that the support is also coordinated for purposes of efficiency, for coherence, and we have successfully, I believe, put together a coordination mechanism and a roadmap for supporting member states, which is broadly owned, was developed with the input of key stakeholders. You are probably also aware that there's coalitions that have come together to support very specific areas with respect to the execution of the Nairobi Declaration and the Action Plan on Fertilizer and Soil Health. So we have coalitions now. We have coalitions that are focusing on research, focusing on private sector, mobilizing the private sector to address key issues around fertilizer. We have coalitions focusing on soil information systems. Essentially, there's a number of them already that have formally, come together as coalitions of the willing, and their express function is to support member states and ourselves at continental and regional level in doing better to serve our member states. You would also know that there's been support for the development of regional hubs, again with the motive to come up with coordination at those regional nodes with respect to supporting member states. So these are instruments that are already well advanced. I'm sure you would know that in Southern Africa, CADESA is already coordinating as the hub for coordination in Southern Africa. In East Africa, you also know that there's IGAD that's already set up a hub that's already been approved by member states. So in North Africa, I know that there are also conversations that are at an advanced stage to do that. And we've been supporting these efforts expressly because we envisage a coordinated approach to supporting member states. Earlier you heard about the development of a monitoring framework. Essentially, this is an area, again, that is being supported. We are essentially coordinating, we're coordinating a multi-stakeholder effort by many of partners, stakeholders, that some of them are here in this room, that are really doing a lot of work to develop a monitoring system, to improve an understanding of soil health on the continent, essentially define the indicators that we are going to use in a systematic way to track progress in terms of addressing soil health. So these are all efforts that are really, aiming at supporting member states, aiming at a continent-wide process that's coordinated. Again, really, also integrating with the CAADP Kampala execution. You heard earlier the task team that's working on monitoring, already aligning their efforts with the view to integrating it into the CAADP biannual review process, which is also at a point in time when they are reviewing and realigning it with Kampala. So it's an opportune time to come in with elements that are strengthening the tracking of progress with soil health. So there's quite a bit of work that's going on there to really support integration with CAADP. But going forward, you would see that, of course, the task team was here before this CAADP partnership meeting expressly with our intention as well to ensure that they also become part of the main CAADP discussions, here this week to really foster that integration at this formative but very critical part with respect to how the CAADP Kampala framework is going to move forward, because the intent is to really see soil as an integral part of how we deliver on CAADP Kampala. And I should say I'm particularly pleased this week because I've never seen, in all the time I've been involved with the CAADP partnership platform, I've never seen this much interest from colleagues that are mostly coming from the soil community. So I see and I feel, a stronger integration of the soils agenda, including when you look at the program itself, including when you look at some of the events that have been aligned, around this process. I feel, the integration of the soil agenda into the, into the implementation of CAADP. And we want to see this reflecting as we move into supporting member states in developing your national ag-food systems investment plans going forward, because that's where the real, the real work starts to happen. So I'm very optimistic in terms of how we move forward in supporting a coordinated, but also a holistic process in terms of how this actually gets to member states. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your optimistic spirit. I think that's very good. So you have heard from the technical side how to collect soil health data and how to monitor it. You have heard how these data can be used for decision-making and information systems. We have heard from Kenya and Nigeria experience, and then Manyewo about the continental level, how these agendas are integrated, and also from Portia, what the task force is doing. I would now like to open to you people to ask questions to our panelists and the keynote speaker. Is there anyone? Yeah, there's a hand going up.
Thank you very much for panelists. It's a good explanation on soil health information. My first comment is about how other countries can be part of soil health coalition, because you are only 5 countries. How other countries can adhere to this soil health coalition. My question also, I have another question. The other question, farmer have a knowledge, local knowledge about soil health. So each farmer knows the status of the soil, can tell you this is degraded, this is moderate, high rich soil, and he affects the crop according to the status of the soil. So now the information you generate, data you generate from soil lab, how you harmonize with local knowledge so that you can accelerate the adoption. The third question, I think only in Nigeria raised that. I think agriculture and the livestock, Kampala Declaration didn't focus on the livestock. While livestock and the agriculture are twin, when you have agriculture well-feeded, it can contribute to soil health in terms of manure. Madam raised it, Madam from Nigeria, and also activity of soil microorganisms. Mineral fertilizer alone, it degrades the soil in terms of below ground biodiversity. So how you bring together the two things, as I said, are twin. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any other question from the audience? It's late in the afternoon. Okay, then I would give it back. So who wants to take the 3 or 1 of those questions we ask? So let me start with you.
Yeah, thank you. I want to react to the harmonization of the recommendations with local knowledge. The data-based or hard data-based decision support tools give recommendation for an area. Like in Africa, particularly, let me talk about Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, where the farmers have from less than a hectare to maybe 2 hectares of land. And the landscape from one farmer to another is quite different. And the way the farmer manages his or her plot is also different. And the cropping history is different. So when you give recommendation based on the data, the soil data, as well as the data from other sources, we call them covariate, like climate, landscape, and others. This is an average recommendation in a way. Although we say it is site-specific, it is not sufficiently site-specific to a plot level. But that particular farmer has more evidence about his plot. Maybe he has applied manure last year, maybe he has grown legumes, maybe he has put some conservation practices, is practicing good agriculture. And other person has never used fertilizer, never used manure. For the recommendation in this site-specific approach for these two plots is the same. So what we are trying to do now is hyper-localization. That hyper-localization would be, I mean, the advisory tool would be interactive with the farmers. So it asks farmers these sort of questions, including the the objective of the farmer, how much he has to invest for fertilizer or for the input, and then the cropping history, the management history of the plot, and then the system optimizes based on this. Once this is put into the system, because it has a central database, and it also is AI enabled, it continues to learn this farmer, and next time the recommendation for this farmer would be continuously refined. And so it's possible to build into the advisories what the farmers need and how they have managed their resource, instead of just general recommendation for the site. You can make it for the specific farmer. Thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you, Teklu. Elvis, you also wanted to briefly react? Okay, yes.
Yeah, I think maybe just to help clarify further, when we are doing the LDSF sampling, normally we capture details that are related to either land use, land management, and we interact with locals to get historical knowledge and perception on the specific site that we are working on. Again, in addition, some of the dashboard tools that we've developed at ICRAF, like the regreening app, we always capture farmer-managed nutrient regeneration, and with this, we work with the farmers, engage with farmers directly to pick out and for them to give us advisory on what has changed, what they implemented within their subplot levels. So it just complements what my colleague has mentioned. So we capture all this information and as part of the holistic soil information databases through LDSF. Thank you.
Thank you, Elvis.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I do want to agree that CAADP is silent on livestock. Because this current CAADP is about inclusive agri-food systems. So the objectives I specifically mentioned were the ones that align to the soil health. And also for a full agroecological practices, livestock combination, it's part of it. It's a component of agroecological practices. For instance, in Nigeria, there's a farm where we usually take people to learn full agroecology. And we've done that for extension agents to build their capacity on agroecology. It's owned by BD Help Foundation. It's an agroecological farm that is based in the FCT, outskirts of FCT. When you go there, you see agroecology in full, where you see agroforestry, livestock, everything about agroecology. So you see there are cattle, rearing, grazing on the farmland, dumping the manure that helps to replenish the soil. So yes, it's a good practice and it's part of that agroecology. And also for the local farmers we work with, we also teach them as that component that if you rear poultry, don't throw the dung, you take the manure to your farm. If you are in goatry, the dung, you take it to your farm, allow them to graze as much as possible to help improve the soil nutrients. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Blessing. So before rounding up the panel discussion, Alice, do you want to have some call for action or some last words you want to share with the audience, and the same for Manyewo?
Thank you. What I would want to say from Kenyan's experience is that the process of even domesticating the soil fertilizer and soil health action plan is not easy. There's a lot of engagement with the stakeholders, but it is possible. We have seen it, and the beauty is when you involve the people from the beginning, during the process, when it comes to implementation, nobody will say they were not involved, and everybody will take their rightful place. So we are working together to make sure that we work together, and because it's a 10-year program, we may see changes in the faces, but the activities will continue. We want to focus more on research, participatory research, and capacity building. We want to emphasize more on farmer learnings and farmer learning centers within their farms, because even if we develop these systems very well, the Kenya soil information system, if it does not translate to the farmers' income and more productivity, it may be futile. So we are looking at a more participatory process in the implementation of the action plan. Thank you.
Thank you. And Manyewo, last parting shot for you.
Yes, no, thank you. Just maybe quickly to comment on the livestock. I think perhaps we need to speak more about this so that the understanding is commonly shared. I think, maybe some of the colleagues that are in the crowd would also attest to the significance of livestock as part of the soil health agenda. By the way, the soil that we are talking about is not only soil in the crop fields, it's also soil for the rangelands. It's the management of those rangelands that is important for its regeneration, and so the soil management there is a huge part of how you really transform your livestock sector as well. She spoke very eloquently about how the integration between livestock and cropping is a key part of some of the interventions that have been suggested in the action plan itself. So for countries, depending on the systems that you are working with, some of those interventions become very relevant to you. So you should look at some of those examples. Also, just to say that coalitions are essentially there to support countries. So you are already, in a space where you can quickly inform the coalitions, inform the hubs. If you need support, we are also happy to facilitate those connections, because their role is to support countries. Their role is to help countries with the technical expertise that they require to execute their plans, and also the planning process itself. So, maybe just to end by saying that I'm very positive about what I see with respect to the execution or readiness so far, with execution, with a number of countries having already moved with some speed, which is very important. It helps us to also mobilize and motivate other countries to follow on board. I see also strong support from our partners that have really come on board to support us to be able to do the coordination that is required. The private sector as well, I think it's something that's been notable for the soils agenda, the coming together of private sector, not only now at this stage, but even as we were putting together the action plan itself, they were a part of delivering and formulating that action plan. So that is really ensured that they are part of the process, and they are actively also coming together in a very coordinated way to look at how they support this action plan with the necessary investments that are required. So yes, I think the next phase will be interesting as we also align this with the rolling out of CAADP Kampala.
Just a shipping sentence, sorry. Yeah, just a minute.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and it's still to emphasize that the commitment 3 speaks comprehensively on livestock, fishery, and all, and also about food and nutrition security. So just to portray that, and also to commend GIZ, who has also greatly supported the, this process in Nigeria in ensuring the domestication of the Nairobi Declaration. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. A big applause for this great panel. So you can take your seat again. I think we have a surprise guest for the closing remarks. Is that person here? Yes, please. Great. Lee informed me that you are coming, so please introduce yourself, and you can use the
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yem Srach. I am supporting the implementation of African Fertilizer in Soil Health Action Plan from the African Union Commission side. So Dr. Janet was supposed to close this meeting to do this remark, but due to parallel urgent engagement, she couldn't make it, and she wanted me to step in. So I'll be doing this closing remark on behalf of Dr. Janet. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As we conclude this important side event, I want to sincerely acknowledge the power of demonstrated partnership that have brought us this far in advancing soil health restoration and monitoring across Africa. This journey has truly shown what is possible when institutions, experts, and communities unite around a shared vision. The technical support provided, delivered with a meticulous lens to practically, has ensured that our efforts are not only scientifically sound, but also grounded in the realities of implement round. It's particularly encouraging to see the member states taking ownership by contextualizing the Continental Action Plan on Fertilizer and Soil Health to their national priorities. We have heard from the experiences of Ethiopia in developing the national roadmap aligned with the Nairobi Declaration and Action Plan, and also from Kenya and Nigeria. So, aligned to that, many countries have already been developing aligned roadmaps that promote efficient and balanced use of balanced and responsible use of fertilizers, both mineral and organic fertilizers, as well as soil amendments. This commitment to restoring soil health demands a systematic approach of tracking progress. After all, we cannot implement what we cannot measure, and measuring progress is just critical as actions we take to restore Africa's soil. This week, we reached a particular significant milestone with the adoption of continental definition of soil health, agreed upon by a team of dedicated experts. This shared understanding provides a unified foundation for our work, enabling coherence across countries and institutions, and reinforcing our collective commitment to a common goal and unified purpose. Equally promising is the ongoing development of pragmatic soil health indicator tailored for Africa, which this team of experts already started the process. These are not just theoretical constructs, they are being shaped with a strong emphasis on usability, relevance, and alignment with national soil health metrics, as well as the targets of the Nairobi Declaration and the Continental Action Plan on Fertilizer and Soil Health. This ensures that monitoring systems are not technically sound, but also policy responsive and action oriented. At this juncture, I would like to reaffirm that the African Union Commission remains fully committed to ensuring that these soil health indicators are integrated into the CAADP monitoring system under the new CAADP Kampala era. Once they are aligned with the CAADP biennial processes. Most importantly, our alignment with national frameworks underscores our shared commitment to sustainable soil management, agricultural resilience, and food security. Let us continue to build this momentum, strengthening partnerships, deepening technical collaboration, and staying grounded in practical and scalable solutions. Together, we are not just monitoring soil health, we are nurturing the very foundation of Africa's agricultural future for food and nutrition security. Let us remain united in purpose and in action. Finally, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who contributed to the success of this side event. I wish you all a safe journey back home and encourage you all to continue the excellent work you have started until we see the African soil significantly restored to deliver attainable productivity, reduce climate risks, and enhance ecosystem services. I thank you all.
Thank you very much for the call for action and the closing remarks. People, we know what to do, so let's continue what we are doing and even improving in that sense. Have a nice afternoon and thank you for attending this side event. Bye-bye.